think one of the proudest moments I had for him was just the graduation that he had recently. Got right up there and said the Pledge of Allegiance, which was just, I mean, it was touching. It was very touching. He came 2 weeks late, I mean, 7 pounds, 5 ounces, just cute as a button. From the beginning, good sleeper, good eater, everything. I mean, he was just awesome. We loved him to death. You know, each monthly update, you know, what he was doing, what he was talking, you know, what he was trying to learn. And the theme really is sweet baby, good eater, good sleeper, just all around sweet baby. And you keep going from month to month when he should start doing things such as rolling over, sitting up, and it's just not here. It's the same thing month after month. Sweet baby, you know, fantastic to have around. And then we get to the 10th month, which you'll see is blank. And this is the month that Garrett had his first seizure. It was just a horrible event that I, you know, would not want any parent to have to go through. And that this month is when our lives changed. We went from, you know, just having our sweet little baby to having to take him to doctor's appointments and seeing neurologists and geneticists and trying to figure out how we could help him the best. And that's kind of how we ended up at the Myers Center. When he got here, he had just turned 2. He had just started walking, so he was very behind from typical kids in doing that. And he, you know, made sounds, no words at all. And so just over the years, they have just worked with him in therapy, as he calls it today, in the classroom, one-on-one, group settings. They make it fun.
In the classroom at the Myers Center, we take a preschool approach and we integrate it with the intensive therapy that he receives through speech, occupational, and physical. And when Garrett started when he was 2, he showed definite signs. He needed some help with feeding in the classroom and had definite communication issues. What we do at the Myers Center is we would get with his therapist, and I, as this classroom teacher, would understand his classroom needs and take those needs throughout everything we do and remind him whenever he would talk or whatever we're working on, whether it's an occupational skill or while we're outside, just practicing that therapy that they're working on with him individually in therapy sessions, so that we're taking like a very integrated approach to helping him be prepared for schools in the future.
As far as communication and speech language goes, Garrett has a diagnosis of developmental dyspraxia. And dyspraxia, the dys means a dysfunction of his praxis, which praxis is kind of a fancy way of saying how is he able to motor plan and execute movements that he needs for verbal speech, verbal communication. I worked with him very early on, and so I have seen a tremendous change in him. And often with kids like this, you'll almost see a switch that's flipped. At some point, they just kind of fall into a groove, and Garrett certainly seems to have done that over the last year or so.
Well, Garrett, we think, can only get better. He has no genetic conditions that are causing his apraxia, but I mean, he's running, he's climbing, he's on a tricycle, which we couldn't even fathom him doing before. I mean, it's just truly a blessing. So he's on Garrett time. I mean, it just takes him longer to do stuff, and he wants to do it, and he will eventually do it. We just have been fortunate to have him in an environment where he can kind of move at his own pace so that he feels comfortable learning and growing.